What's happening, fam? What is happening? What's going on, people? What's going on? How we doing? I hope everybody is having an awesome Memorial Day. We give thanks to those who fought in front of us, and to make sure that I have the right to sit here and have this here conversation with you. So I appreciate all those who have put themselves out there for people like myself. Thank them very, 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 very much on it. But I was doing some research on it on this day, and come to find out this was like a dedication day. They had started the slavery. Basically, they started paying homage to those men who went and fought in a war and came home and was given no type of accolades or anything of that sort, like usually how we usually start things. But anyway, how we doing, people? I hope everybody, again, has had an awesome week. We're coming off of the George Floyd weekend, pretty much. Was down at the George Floyd Square on yesterday. Went down there and spent some time down there, and went to a couple other little satellite things they was having on the side, and went down to the 3rd Precinct to check that out, see what they've done there. They have done nothing, but they hung up, a few banners on the side of the fence, that type stuff. But, other than that, it is pretty much still the same. It's basically a timepiece for people to go by and take a look at. I don't understand why it's not removed. It's a shock to me. After 5 years, that building is still standing. Like I said, they've done wonders around all the other parts of the area down there. But for some reason, that building is still standing after 5 years. Doesn't make sense. But we need to find a way. We need to find a way to get that building done. They need to put something on that corner. What? I don't know, but something needs to be put on that corner. But that police department needs to be torn down. Period, point blank. Because of what it represents. It needs to be replaced. We'll put something else there. Anyway, hey, so like I said, coming off of the George Floyd situation and all the things that was going on, pretty much just in Hennepin County. I heard there's a few things that happened in Duluth. If I'd have known about it, I definitely would have went up there because I wanted to see what they were doing for George Floyd up in Duluth. But Hennepin County went all out inside of the 494, 394, 694 loop. They went all out. They went nuts with this here situation. And knowing how people inside of Hennepin County, which is basically the blue wall for the Republicans, and we got these Republican influencers running around here talking about, freeing Derek Chauvin. We got these Republican lawmakers basically going to bat for this little propaganda film called The Fall of Minneapolis. It's only right that I go ahead and say inside of Hennepin County, let the barbershops know, let the black churches know, let some of the people, some important people understand that if there was a white Republican governor, he could actually pardon Derek Chauvin. Because that's basically what the Republicans are calling for. A lot of Republicans are calling for that. Now, let's just throw this out there. Let's say Trump decided, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and pardon him. And then he goes to state. And then all of a sudden a Republican governor somehow makes it into office. More than likely, he's going to do what? He's going to pardon Derek. But the Republican needs to win Hennepin County. I'm just saying. I'm just looking at it. I'm looking at this the way that these Republican influencers, which I'm going to talk about one in here in a second, are basically trying to map this thing out. Trump could pardon him. And then a Republican governor could come in, but I don't see that happening. I don't see Hennepin County voting for a Republican governor, because I think people know. If they don't know, they're going to find out. If they don't know, they're going to hear it from me from this point out. If that's what these Republican lawmakers and these Republican influencers want, then why not tell the story? Why not let everybody know what they want to do? I'm going to in Hennepin County, and I will up in Duluth and in Rochester, because those are the places that the Republican Party can't win. And if the Republican Party can't win Duluth, if they can't win Hennepin County, and if they can't win Rochester, they don't get in office. It's that simple. It doesn't matter. Look at the map. It doesn't matter what Republicans do out and outstate. They don't care. People really don't care, because they know there's 3 places that the Republican can win. Look at, just go back to the map of Minnesota when Trump didn't win Minnesota. And you know what he didn't win? He didn't win Rochester. He didn't win Hennepin County, and he did not win Duluth. That was it. That's all the Democrats know they need. Anything outside of those, they'd be like, we'll get 2 or 3, and that's cool. But if those places was like, wait a minute, this Derek Chauvin situation is huge. It's huge. And inside of Hennepin County, which the Republicans don't come into Hennepin County, they don't realize just how huge this situation is. Like I said, look at this weekend. They had a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They had celebrations all over Hennepin County. And it wasn't just for George Floyd. And that's where a lot of these so-called Republican, and I'm going to show you one, and I'm going to answer his question. That's where a lot of these so-called Republican influencers, so this is Dusty Grange, Dusty. Okay, let's get this up here so y'all can understand where I'm going with this. To this day, I'll never understand why George Floyd is put on a pedestal all these years. Here's the list of conviction crimes we know about. Right? That's Dusty. That's a Republican influencer. He's one of the guys who's fighting to get Derek Chauvin. He's fighting to get Derek Chauvin out of prison. He's a Republican. Okay. So that's what Dusty says. So let's answer Dusty's question. Why don't we? I'm gonna go over AK Kamaro's little video too, which cracked me up. I'm going to go over his video, too, which was funny as all get up. But Dusty asked the question, right? And he's not really asking a question. He's putting this out here. He's putting this out here for the very reason that Dusty does anything, for likes and clicks. That's his whole thing. This dude has that's the only reason he does this here crap, right? But let's give Dusty an answer. Not that he really cares, because he don't. Because if he cared, he would go and understand the history behind why all of this happened. 99 point, just like with AK Kamara, when AK Kamara was his little video he did talking about this whole situation. This is what you will never hear. Dusty or AK tell you. They will never tell you the beginning. They will never give you the history of how if you don't understand how we got here and you come in the middle of something, then that's all you got to go off of. Why did George Floyd actually happen? What led into George Floyd? Because I'll say it again. George Floyd didn't have to die, and Derek shouldn't be in jail. But let's look at the things that actually led up to George Floyd dying and Derek in jail. But they don't want to do that. They don't want to give you those things because it's easier for them to take nuggets and then give you the little nuggets so you can be pissed off and upset. Why is George Floyd put on a pedestal? George Floyd isn't put on a pedestal. He's not. Even though you probably see, like I said, people love to put out the one where he's sitting on a bench or whatever that is. They love that picture. This really isn't about George Floyd. It's like I said, it's the same thing with O.J. Simpson. Somebody had said that today. This is about the system. The very system that put Derek Chauvin behind bars is the very system that black people have been fighting, go all the way back to when they was sicking dogs on black people. Go back to Rodney King, if you're old enough to remember Rodney King. And we thought, putting it on tape, because that's what everybody kept saying. Oh, there is no police brutality in the black community. Go all the way back to the Black Panthers who took up arms against the police in their community. All over. But Rodney King was our way of going, see, it's happening. And everybody saw Rodney King get beat. And then they said, it's his fault. That's where you first heard what is being used even today. He should comply. He should have just laid there and let them beat on him. He's not complying. He's getting tased, beat, kicked, but it's his fault. That's what we heard. That's what we heard, and people was upset, mad. And a lot of people said that O.J. Simpson was the get back. O.J. was because of what happened to Rodney King and justice not being served for Rodney King. O.J. got off. O.J. ain't never done nothing for the black community. They could care less about the black community, just like the black community could care less about O.J. O.J. was living his life doing what he was doing. Black community, until that happened. I'm gonna say it again. People just do not want to get this. So why is why is George Floyd on a pedestal? That's what he asked. And I'll say it again. George Floyd is just a guy. What's on a pedestal is the system. See, instead of you using George Floyd and showing George Floyd being dirty to try to get this cop out, why don't you talk about the system, Dusty? Why don't you talk about back the blue? Police never do anything wrong. Katie Blackwell, who sat on the stand and said that move is not anywhere near what the Minneapolis, that's what the police said. Instead of getting mad at George, get mad at the system. Because it's the system put Derek Chauvin. I don't care if you sit there and go, all the evidence wasn't heard. That's the system. That's the same system that has Philip Vance sitting up in Rush City Prison. And he's been there for 20 years. That system. See, y'all don't want to call out the system, but you want to be mad at George Floyd. George Floyd did not put there. At the end of the day, it wasn't George who said Derek had to go. 12 members of a jury of his peers. Let's remember that. 12, you can sit here with this whole, they were scared for their lives and all of this. No, they did what the system has done for years. Dusty. So no, George Floyd has never been on a pedestal. You put him on a pedestal, Dusty. You did that. You put him on a pedestal when you tried your best to call him out of being a dirty person. All his convictions, you said. You put him on a pedestal, Dusty. I never, nor anyone around me that I know, has George Floyd on a pedestal. The system put George Floyd on a pedestal. That's who put George Floyd on a pedestal. The system did it. The very system that each and every one of you swear up and down you love to the day you die. That system. The very system that when a black man is sitting in that very seat that Derek Chauvin sat in, when a black man is getting railroaded saying, we got information from people on the inside of the prison, they can testify against him, and they pay this man to testify against this man. That system, the very system who the cops have over and over and over again lied about, moved evidence about, lost evidence in certain cases. That system, Dusty, put George Floyd where he's at right now. So it ain't the black people. You can say that, Dusty, even though you didn't put it in your get up, that's what you meant. And you know that as well as I do. So no, Dusty, the black people didn't put George Floyd on a pedestal. The system you love so much, Dusty, the very system that got a cop off for jumping in a car and shooting a man when he drove off. That system, Dusty. That system. The same system that y'all bust in white people to Hennepin County to protest. Yeah, you did. You protested the system to make sure the system worked, Dusty. Yeah, you did, bro. And when the cop got off, y'all was happy that the system worked, Dusty. Correct? I mean, I'm only telling you, if you, hey, like I said, I don't talk about nothing I don't know about. Look it up. Look it up. Then the system worked to your liking, Dusty. Dustin. You like that system. You love that system got that cop off. It's funny how you're not saying black folks put this kid on the kid that the cop murdered while he's driving off. People talk about him all the time, dude. All the time. Ricky Bell. Talk about him all the time. You know who else people talk about? Fernando Castile. That system that we watched this cop shoot this young man with his girlfriend in the passenger seat and his baby in the back seat. This cop shot into the car and he murdered Fernando Castile. And the very system, Dusty, that has George Floyd up here, that system got that cop off. Dustin? So when you ask why George Floyd is on a pedestal, as you call it, it's because the same system that put Derek Chauvin in for 20, that system, that's what's on the pedestal. That's what's on the pedestal, bro. It's not George. George just happened to be the face. But the face should have been Fernando Castile. That should have been the face. But the powers to be got with everybody and they pulled it down. We watched that police officer shoot that young man point blank. As if he's going to have he's got his girlfriend in the passenger seat. He's got his baby in the back seat. Like, this dude was actually going to have a shootout with this cop right here and a cop right here. He's going to pull his gun out and actually have a shootout. Think about that for a second. I know y'all act like we ignorant. Black folks are ignorant, but I don't think no black person is going to risk their lives or their family. But that's what that's the headset that y'all are in, as if this man was going to actually have a shootout with this police officer. That wasn't going to happen. But y'all said that police had every right to murder Fernando Castile. That was the last straw. That was called cop fatigue. There we go. Cop fatigue. We had cop fatigue. And the only thing we needed was for one more cop to do something. Guess who it was? Derek Chauvin. That's why, Dustin. That's why this whole weekend, Hennepin County, I think Rochester did something, and Duluth celebrated a system that we all know is flawed. And that's all that we've ever asked for. That's all I've ever fought for, is for people to recognize the system. But Dustin, we couldn't do that, right? It was, every time it was always back to blue, remember? Back to blue, no matter what. No matter what they do, you back to blue. Well, dude, the blue is the one who testified against Derek. Back to blue, Dustin. No matter what. Doesn't matter what happens. Doesn't matter what they do. Police Chief Ariel Adonde sat in that seat. And I posted it today. You can go to my thing and you can see. And you can get his very quotes on what he said. He said that Derek Chauvin was not taught to stay on this man's back when he's handcuffed and he has a lifeless body. That's what he said. And Katie said the same thing that the police officer said, that the chief said. Katie Blackwell, the white woman, police officer, said the same thing. That no one taught Derek Chauvin to stay on a lifeless body. That's what they mean. That maneuver of him staying on that body is exactly what, not that he didn't have the right to have his knee on Derek's back, on George's back. That's not what they were saying. And y'all don't realize that. Go back and listen to what Ariel Arredondo, the chief, said. This is what he said. I put it on my page. He never said, there was not one time, think about it, there wasn't one time that he said that the maneuver that Derek did was wrong. What he said was Derek shouldn't have been on that man for as long as he was. He was not taught that. That's what he said. It's that what he's doing right now. Have you ever seen that? And Katie said no. Because she was echoing what Chief Arredondo was saying. Now, she took Alpha News to whatchamacallit and a judge, ruled in their favor and all this here type of stuff. I whatever. But that's what came out of the trial. That's what put Derek behind bars. Not the maneuver. That was fine. They was like, okay, cool. They said, I hear this, Derek has a book in the MRT and RTR and all this here type of stuff. It's in the book. Yes, it is. It is. But what was asked in court was about him being on George's back, a lifeless body, handcuffed, held down by, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other, how many other guys? Arms and hands. That's what was asked. Go back and look at the film. Go to my page and pull up Arredondo's video. I put it on my page for this very reason, so you can go back and listen to it yourself. Listen. See, here is the problem. Here is the problem. There's so much phoniness out there. Now everybody run around, like A.K. Kamara, he had a shirt on, the fall of Minneapolis. Listen there, I'm gonna say it again. Go watch the video. Go watch the little propaganda film. That's fine. It's one-sided. Because at the beginning of this thing, they have to piss you off, right? And the way they piss you off is they dirt, just like what Dustin did here, right? So instead of Dustin asking the question, instead of him just asking this question, what did he do here? Here, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you what the fall of Minneapolis does. So I want you to read the bottom of it. Fentanyl and meth in his system. That's what the fall of Minneapolis has to do. Right? They have to pull a Dustin grave. Right? They have to pull a Dustin grave. They got to piss you off. They got to make you hate George Floyd. He could have just asked this question. But that wasn't good enough. What he had to do is he had to dirty up George Floyd. So when you go watch this film, and I want people to go watch it. I broke it down. I spent a whole hour breaking it down. And I probably do another one probably in a couple of weeks. But the beginning of the Fall of Man is them pissing you off. It's them making you hate George Floyd. By the time you get to the middle of this thing, you hate George Floyd so much that no matter what they tell you, especially when they said, watch this. So they said in that little piece that the police were running out of the police station. Running, that's what it says. I want you to watch it. But if you look on the left-hand side, when the police are coming out and the police car comes out of this building, watch the police walking. But you don't realize that because you're so mad at George Floyd that you see 1-2 police officers run alongside the police car. You don't see the other ones walking on the other side. You say, well, how did you pick that up, Rev? Because I was there watching them walk out. And then when I saw that film, I'm sitting there going, that's not true. That's not true. The same thing with Dusty. Dusty had another one out there saying, oh, I remember. Dusty ain't never come down, ain't never been around. He wasn't down there on the streets. He definitely wasn't with me when I was walking around with my AR-15 on the streets. Dusty wasn't around. None of them was out there. Not AK Camaro, nowhere near it. But yet, both of them got so much to say. This is the thing that gets me about people like that. They can't give you the truth because they wasn't there. They can't give you the truth because they don't know nothing. They're just going off of what they think. That's it. They're going off some propaganda film that somebody put out that's one-sided. But I want you to watch it. I want you to watch it. But here's what I want you to understand. To get to the fall of Minneapolis, the police, I want you to go, you know what? Do this here. No, let's be fair. I want you to pull up the DOJ report on the Minneapolis Police Department. No, listen. Pull up the DOJ report on the Minneapolis Police Department. I want you to read that. I want you to read that. And then once you're done reading it, once you're sitting there going, okay, I kind of got an understanding of where we're going and understanding why the tension was so high, why things were the way they were in the community. And then go watch. Because at least this way, you're not going and watching this. It's like Representative Mary Franson put something out there today talking about, watch the movie. She said something, and I was like, that's like watching Jaws and saying it's real. They push this crap, but they don't ever give you, and I would expect Republican Representative Mary, I would expect her to know it because she's spoken to me. We've had conversations. At least her. Now, Dustin, AK Kamar, nah, but her, I would think that she would be like, wait a minute, I'm going to put this out here, but I'm going to give people this also. I'm not just going to be one-sided. Go watch the film. Like I said, I've never told anybody not to watch it. Only thing I'm saying is know that you're getting one side of a story. Know that they got to piss you off to hate this man in order for you to like what you're about to see, what you're about to get off. And that's how they start this thing. So by the time you get to the end of that The fall of Minnesota. George Floyd is dirt. He's literally, but but yet, then, no. You know what? Well, after you're done there, say, before you start, I want you to go through it. I want you to read the DOJ report. Then I want you to watch the fall of Minneapolis. Then I want you to look up Derek Chauvin and see what type of cop he was. Because they don't tell you that in the fall. A.K. Kamara don't tell you that. Dustin Granger don't tell you that. But I want you to look up, because they just paid another family $600,000 because of the type of cop that Derek Chauvin was. And I think they're going to be paying another family also. Only thing I'm saying, if you're going to talk about him, know what you're talking about. If you're going to ask stupid questions, know what you're talking about when you ask stupid questions. But I know that wasn't a stupid question. I know Dusty asked that question because he was just trying to be like a smart ass. He was trying to be, an agitator. Period, point blank. Now, again, if we're going to start talking about Derek Chauvin, then let's talk about the system. Because 12 people, whether you like it or not, you can sit there and get yourself to believe that they had to do this or all else was going to be fair. They did not. They was presented evidence. How much evidence was presented, we don't know. But this is what we know. We know 12 people deliberated. I don't care if it was for 2 minutes. We know that the same system that put black men in jail is the same system. So if you're going to go to bat for Derek, I've got a lot of black men that you can go to bat for. Because if you're telling me that the system railroaded, the corrupt system that y'all always like, that corrupt system messed up one time. That's what you're saying to me. That corrupt system messed up one time. When I've got a guy right now in Rush City. Right now. I've had him on here. I've talked to him on here. He's sitting in Rush City. That Kathy Keenum out of Dakota County. Watch this here. One of the witnesses, true story, to Philip Vance's story. This is what they used. The policeman tried to say that a barmaid, watch this, a barmaid overheard Philip Vance saying that he shot and killed someone. That barmaid just happens to be the sister of the cop who arrested him. Are you talking about a corrupt system? But Derek Chauvin is the only one. There's no one else. Well, I just posted a get up of a man who was executed. 4 years later, they found out his DNA is not even on the way. It's somebody else's DNA on a black man. They killed a black man. Wrongly convicted. He's dead. And they found out 4 years later that his DNA is nowhere near on the weapon. And he had been saying for years, I'm innocent. I did not commit this crime. He is gone. They killed him. They murdered him. And then they found out later they murdered the wrong man. That system is the same system that put Derek Chauvin in for 20 years. So let me say something to the Dusties. Let me say something to the AK Camaros. Let me say something to the Representative Mary Fronsons and all the other Republicans out there. You have every opportunity to fight the system, to get this right, to get a just system, to fix the corruption. You got but you're wasting your time being mad at George Floyd. The Republican Party could have easily said, you know what? Things are not right in Minneapolis. Things are not right in St. Paul. Things are not right in Rochester. Things are not right in Duluth. Let us get together and let's talk to those people in those areas. And let's get legislation written that's going to make a difference. The Republican Party could have done this, but they can't. Because what do? Their whole thing is making sure they back the blue. Well, we don't want to do anything that's going to hurt the blue, right? No, that's what Republicans do. The Republicans here in the state of Minnesota fought to make sure that a police officer can restrict a young kid's airway. They can fold these kids up. That's what the Republican Party here fought for, to make sure that they can fold up kids when they're holding them down on the ground. They can slam them to the ground. They can lay on top of them. They can take their head and contort it any way they want to. Their legs, their arms, they can do whatever. They can put knees in the back, in the chest, no matter what. Republicans fought to make sure that could happen to kids in schools. The same Republicans who are saying now that the system is corrupt and Derek Chauvin needs to be paroled. That's happening right here in Minnesota. Instead of using their power for good, instead of working to understand what's going on in the very community they won't come in, right? In the very community they will not come in. And they wonder why they lose statewide all the time. This is why. Because of people like a Dusty Graves. People like an AK Camaro, who pushed the water for the Republican Party. They haven't won statewide in I don't know how long. And they're not, because of their base. And y'all don't understand that. Because of people like Dusty. But that is what the base likes. And it's always something else. Oh, it's the rigged machines. It's the ballot harvesting. No, it's not. Oh, it's the kitty litter boxes. No, that's not what it is. It's the people that you got pushing your water. If that changed, I guarantee you, it would change the way people see you in Duluth, in Hennepin County, in Rochester. I guarantee you. I'm not saying that just to say it. I'm telling you what I know. I met with, and we're going this Thursday. Brad, who is running for governor, is coming with me. I've already met with the leaders of black churches. That's what I've been doing every Sunday. But we have a big meeting this Thursday with the black churches, with the pastors of some very, very powerful black churches. And I've got to get them to believe that, I'm running with Brad, who calls himself a Republican. We're running under that ticket. But the Republicans you see in Rocks and Cows, that's not us. Because it's time for a change in Minnesota. The AK Camaros and the Dusties, that's not us. Because it's time for a change in Minnesota. It's time to make a difference. And actually for a group to finally say we can come into Hennepin County. It's okay for us to do that now. Not that they really wanted to anyway, but they don't have a choice now. They don't have a choice. Period, point blank. But as long as the Republican Party rely on certain people, they can win their little outstates all day. But where it really kind of matters in a way, not going to happen. Not going to happen. Not until they change. Not until they get different. Not until they start seeing different. And as long as they got the type of people who are pushing water for them and doing stupid things and putting out stupid videos, not going to happen. Because I'm using those videos as I go into Hennepin County, going, see this here person here? He's not one of us. This isn't who represent us. This isn't who represent us. Period, point blank. So, again, Dusty can put out all the crap he wants, and why is George Floyd isn't on a pedestal. I keep trying to make y'all understand that. And whenever you get ready to actually go, the system is messed up. Whenever you're ready to actually go, there is police brutality. See, that's another thing Republicans can't say. They can't say that. You have never heard, name me one Republican you ever heard say there's police brutality. I get it now. I understand it now. They can't say that because the police will get mad at them. But we know what goes on in the community. And the reason I know it, I've seen it with my own eyes. I've watched the Jump Out Boys. I've almost taken off running when the Jump Out Boys, when the boy jump out, and I'm sitting there going, what am I going to run for? I didn't do anything. I'm just standing right here. I'm running in a suit. And like I was talking to this guy today, and he was talking about, how the police work, how the police act. And like I say, you over in Minneapolis, it's not just a black thing. No. Them police are different. They were. There was a time they were. They're not as bad anymore. But the police that were in Minneapolis 5 years ago, woo boy, them boys was something else. That's why a lot of police left. It wasn't just, they want to get rid of us anyway. They want this in. Look, people, see, and that's another thing your Dusties don't realize. They were talking about dismantling the police before George Floyd. They were talking about replacing the police with public safety measures before George Floyd. This is way before George Floyd. The police was so bad they were looking for a way to to downsize the police. That's why they came up with the dismantle the police, replace the police, defund the police. That was way before George Floyd. Only reason y'all heard about it is because it came to a yelling level during George Floyd. But before George Floyd, they were saying that. Let's go. Let's find a way to take money, because the police was militarizing themselves with all this money. And it was like, well, we're going to take some of this money and we're going to start a different department. So the defund the police situation, it was new to you because y'all wasn't around to hear it. Y'all heard it during the George Floyd thing. But no, they was talking about defunding the police a long time before George Floyd, pretty much right after Philando Castile. Pretty much right after Philando Castile, they were talking about and defund the police. And then it also got louder when they went in and shot and killed Amir Locke on that so-called no-knock raid. Isn't it funny? Watch this. Show you how corrupt the system is. St. Paul will not do no-knock raids. Correct? So the St. Paul came to Minneapolis and asked Minneapolis if they would do a no-knock raid. And Minneapolis was like, okay. Mayor Fry was like, okay. Even though, watch this, even though he ran on, when he was campaigning, that was one of the campaign promises. That move that Derek put on, if Mayor Fry had kept his campaign promise and outlawed that maneuver from the Minneapolis Police Department, what Derek did on George, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here. So the St. Paul Police Department comes over to the Minneapolis Police Department and asks them to do a no-knock raid on an apartment building. They said, okay, no problem. We can do that. We know you guys don't do it. You have outlawed it. Your mayor would never let you do something like this. But our mayor, who could give a damn, lets us do it. So they go up to this apartment and they say they knocked, but the door was open. The door was open and they was going through the door as they were knocking. Wink, wink. This young man jumps up off of the couch. He had a right to own a firearm. He grabs his firearm and they shoot and kill him. The wrong person. They killed Amir Locke. Look it up, people. And there was no one that was held accountable for that young man's murder. No one. Look it up. They wasn't even looking for him. They shot him because somebody came through the door in the middle of the night, like anybody's house. You tell me, if you're a gun owner, you're going to sit there and tell me that if somebody kicked your door down and here you are dead asleep in your bedroom, you're not going to grab? Okay. Y'all know you're a liar if you say you wouldn't. So he grabs his firearm like he had a right to do, and they shot and killed him on a no-knock warrant. Wrong person. and nobody has ever been held accountable. They didn't say that the mayor hadn't been held accountable for it. The police officers haven't been held accountable for it. So you want to talk about a corrupt system? You want to talk about Derek Chauvin, the situation he's in? We can have that conversation. That's why I keep saying, let's have the conversation. See, they don't want to have the conversation because they know. They know that the situation with Derek Chauvin and George Floyd did not pop off on 5 years ago, on yesterday 5 years ago. They know it. Things happened before this. They know that a large part of it also played in how the Minneapolis Police Department treated people in the community. They know that, but they can't mention that. They can't tell you that. Liz Collins, even though her husband was the president, she can't tell you that. She can't let you know in her little film, The Fall of Minneapolis, she can never criticize. The only police she can criticize is the ones that took the stand. She'll criticize them and try to make them look stupid. But she won't criticize those police officers that were knocking people up on side the head. The reason why the temperature was the way it was. She won't criticize them, and she won't let you guys know about it. Because now you got to sit here and think. If she let you guys know how bad the police were, y'all got to sit here and go, well, I understand it, but it's kind of, but as long as she don't criticize the police, y'all sit here and go, oh yeah, this, the fall of man, I'll put this on a platter. And you put it on a platter, you walk around with it. I can't put it on a platter because I know there's another side to how this happened. I know why she made this. And I know what it took for her to make this. But she's not going to tell you what it took for her to make this. They don't tell you. Dusty won't tell you that part because Dusty don't know. Because Dusty ain't never been down there. A.K. Kamara is not going to tell you, even though he's black, he ain't never been down there. So when y'all are listening to these people and you're watching the film, again, do yourself a solid. Do yourself a righteous. And get information. These damn computers y'all got and these phones y'all got, they can do stuff other than get on here and call me names. They can get, you can do more than just get on here to call me names. This thing can do research. It really can. And you would learn some stuff off here. Listen to me again, people. Read the DOJ report. Look up corrupt Minneapolis Police Department. Look up corrupt St. Paul Police Department. And understand what it took to get us here. Now, let me say this here. Hold on. Because I know people always sit there and go, but Rev, what about? You're right. The community has been shit. Yeah, you heard what I said. People ain't doing right. Kids ain't doing right. Moms ain't doing right. Dads are not doing right. You're right. You're everything. I know somebody sitting back, and I know you've been waiting for this here part too. But if I sit here and I say that the police department has a problem, I've also got to sit here and talk about the community. I've got to talk about the 14 to 15 to 16-year-old boys who are buying these guns and shooting each other. They're not shooting nobody else. They're shooting each other. and anybody else in sight because they can't shoot. We got little girls that's having babies that shouldn't be having babies in the community. We've got kids that are not going to school. And we got moms and dads. Well, hold on. Let me pull back on the dad for a second. We got moms, single moms, who are trying to raise these kids and trying to send them to school, and they're not going. So when they're not going to school to get their ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, they're not learning anything to get themselves to a position to where I was talking to Dexter Taylor last night. And one of the things that Dexter was talking about was how there was a time in the black community that you saw people going to work. Right? You saw, now I'm a military. Well, when I was with my, when we lived with my biological dad was a trash man for Shelby County, Tennessee. And every day I watched him walk out the door and go to work. But the only thing with my dad was an alcoholic. That's how he died. My biological dad was a raging alcoholic. Back in those days, in the 60s, 70s, they didn't have places to where, especially in the black community, they didn't have places where you can go and get help. So my biological dad, they basically told him, and he was hospitalized for a couple of weeks. And when he got out of the hospital, they told him, you cannot have, they said, listen to us. You can never have another drink. Ever. And my dad just couldn't do it. He could not do it. And he started drinking again. And he passed. But before he passed, my mom had already married my stepfather. I'm a military brat. My stepfather was in the military. So I got to see my father go to work every day. I got to see both of my fathers go to work every day. And that's one of the things that we don't have in the black community that much anymore, especially in North Minneapolis. A lot of black kids, a lot of black men, a lot of black boys are not seeing black fathers go to work. They're not seeing it. Oh, I'm gonna be a rapper. I'm at 13, 14, and 15, I'm just gonna go ahead and get my corner and get my drug deals going. They're not seeing fathers leave the house with a lunchbox, with a paper bag with a sandwich and an apple in it, and going and putting in 8, 9, 10 hours a day and coming home. See, another thing about the black community is the big piece of chicken was always for dad. You did not eat. Dad always ate. When dad walked through the door, mom had a plate for him. But the big piece of chicken was always for dad. The problem is we don't have dads coming home sitting at a table getting that big piece of chicken. That's what our problem is. And because we don't have dads coming in, getting that, and maybe it's just another perspective to take with a grain of salt, but that also has truth. I was reading, this is what's funny to me. But we don't have dads. I got to show you this. I love it. I love it when people who don't have a clue actually what they're talking about, when they like to come in and try to throw up something just to throw up something. show you this. She said, maybe it's just another perspective to take with a grain of salt, but that also has truth. She's talking about Mary Franson. She's talking about, I just finished talking to you guys about this, all right? Mary Franson, and she was talking about the Minneapolis, the fall of Minneapolis. That's what she's talking about, all right? And she don't realize that the grain of salt that she's talking about, a truth, is you only get one side. That's what I'm trying to make people understand. If she would have came back and said, well, that's the perspective. That's the perspective of that side, but I got this side also. Then I'll have respect for her. But I don't have respect for this person because I know this is one of the people. These are the very people that I tell you guys about. That only thing they want is one side of the story. Now, this person, she's not going to go and research this. She's not. There's going to be zero research coming from her. Zero. So if you're going to come for me, do the research first. Because I guarantee you, if you do the research first, you're going to come back and go, well, I still believe what I believe. I'm not trying to change nobody's mind. You sit there and go, I still believe what I believe, but I kind of get what you're saying, Rev. That's it. That's the reason I put stuff out. If I see someone spreading something that I know has another perspective on it, wouldn't you want to go and look into that? But I realize you got people like this that don't. But anyway, as I was saying, we don't have black fathers coming home anymore. We got mothers trying to raise their kids, and most of these black fathers are in prison. When we talked, like I said, I talked about this with Dexter Taylor, who is sitting in prison right now, who's sitting there going, half of the prison is black men, and half of those black men that are in prison there have kids. So that tells me right there, we got a large number of kids that don't have family. I know Rush City has a large number of black men, a large. So that tells me that a large number of those kids, those dads up there in Rush City Prison right now, their kid is running the street. There's a large number of black men in Stillwater. So I know there's a large number of kids that are running the streets. There's a large number of black men in St. Cloud. So I know there's a large number of kids running the streets. There's 3 prisons I just named, not including the workhouses. 3 prisons. And if in each prison, let's take each prison, right? And let's say there's 500, even though it's more, but just think about this for a second. It's out of each prison, there's 500 men in each prison. 1,500 men, correct? And let's say each guy in prison has 2 kids. Do the math, people. Do the math. Let's say each man in prison have 2 kids. Give or take a kid. Let's say give or take a kid. How many black kids are running around? Think about it. How many black kids are running around just Minnesota? Just Minnesota without a dad. These are things I think about, people. Y'all, look. Yeah, I think about this stuff. I have to. I think about it all the time. That's a lot of kids without a father, being raised by mom and grandma. Correct? Now, see, here's why I get myself in trouble, because everybody get mad at me when I start telling, when I really start telling the truth. But think about what I just said, because I can guarantee you there's more than 500 black men in 3 prisons I just named. You know what? Let's just do this here. Let's say there's 500 black men. Just 500. Take away the 1,000. And those 500 black men have 2 kids. Let's do it that way. That's a lot of kids that's living without dad. That's a lot of kids that are running the streets. There's a lot of kids that are doing whatever they want and turning out to be whoever they want. There's a lot of black kids. That's what's wrong with the community. There's a lot of black men that are locked up. And a lot of those black men that are locked up have children. And those kids don't get to see a man walking out the door with a lunchbox or a sack lunch going to work. That, my friends, is part of the problem. We can sit here and we can say, "Oh, it's economy, it's this, it's job placement, it's this." We can say that. But one of the biggest problems is we don't have daddies coming home getting that big piece of chicken. We don't have daddies that we're sitting at the table watching him eat that big piece of chicken going, "That's my daddy. I'm proud of that man. That's my daddy." We don't have that. We don't have dads going up and down the streets, making sure that the kids are not doing things, teaching kids how to ride bikes and fly kites and things of that sort in the community. So, and because we don't have dads doing that, we don't get to have a role model anymore. Our role model is a dude on the corner who is rapping with gold teeth and gold around his neck, and he got a gun, and he got a nice car, and he's wearing Jordans with the best hoodies you've ever seen in your life, and with the hat all to the side. Those are the role models that we have today. That's what's wrong with the community. Period. Point blank. And because that's the type of atmosphere a lot of these cops are coming to, because that's what they're doing. They don't live in the community. They live outside the community. So they come to the jungle, stay in the jungle for what, 8, 9, 10, 11 hours, and then they get to leave. But when they're in the jungle, they treat everybody like it is a jungle. There's no de-escalation. I have never, let me say that, seen a police officer. No, let me say that. Let me back up, because it has happened a couple of times here lately. Because right there on Broadway and at the Cub Foods at Broadway. Hold on. Let me back up before I get myself in trouble by telling you something that's just not true. Up until lately, I have never seen a police officer de-escalate anything. I have never seen it up until lately. So when people are sitting there screaming and yelling, talking about, oh, these police officers, they had to leave, and they had to have early. No, a lot of these police officers knew they had to change in the way they were doing things. They knew it. and they just didn't want to do it. They didn't want to do it. Somebody had a picture on here of a police officer on his vest with a blue blue line flag on his vest. I always thought that they were not allowed to wear those anymore. But police do what they want to. And that's the point that I've been trying to make all night tonight. George Floyd didn't have to die. Derek Chauvin didn't have to go to prison. But George Floyd died because he was the guy. Derek Chauvin went to prison because he was the guy. It wasn't racial. I've never said it was. I don't believe it was racial at all. It wasn't. It had nothing. I don't care what Black Lives Matter and anybody else says. It had nothing to do. That had nothing to do with race. I know people sit there and go, well, George and Derek, they worked together and they didn't like each other and they was mad at each other. I don't believe that Derek Chauvin got up that morning and said to himself, if I see George Floyd, that black man, I'm going to kill him. He did not. No, this wasn't about race. We made it about race. We made it about race. We made it about a white cop killing a black man. We made it about a black man getting killed by a black cop. That's what we did. Even though now, that's another thing cracked me up about AK. So nobody's really talked about the actual other black man who is in prison right now. Right? Nobody really talked about him until lately, when they needed a caveat. They needed something. And that's what they broke out. Matter of fact, AK Kamara broke it out today in his little video, talking about the black officer. They ain't never talked about this man being black. Then all of a sudden, this is what they do. Oh, but he black. He never even really said he was black. But now we need something, so let's talk about the black man. Yeah, black man went to. Oh, see there? Black man got railroaded. See, told you. If Liz and AK and all them they want to bring him out as black, that's fine. I'll talk about him too. He should have never been. Nope. He should have never. Derek Chauvin is the one that did not have compassion for this man. Derek Chauvin is the one that sat there and said to himself, I can do this because the system is so corrupt, it's going to get me off. He counted on the system getting him off. So even though Chief Arredondo on the stand said that Derek Chauvin was not taught to sit on George Floyd's back, and I'm going to say that I'm not even going to put Derek Chauvin on his neck. I'm going to put him on the back. Chief Arredondo said that Derek Chauvin was not taught to hold that man down handcuffed in that prone position for that long. That's what he said. He never said anything about what position, what maneuver that he was using. What Arredondo said, and then what Katie Blackwell did, is backed up what Arredondo said. That's what she did. So at the end of the day, when we talk about back in the blue, there's two cops that apparently y'all don't want to back. Let's back the blue. Let's back the blue. Anyway. All right, fam, I'm done. I'm a little bit over. What am I at? 21 minutes over. So Wednesday, I owe you 20. I don't know. No, I got a game. We got games starting up this week. So Wednesday, I think we got an 8 o'clock game. So I probably, like last week. Man, we was running last week. So probably will not be back until probably Friday. No. Sorry. Tomorrow. I got Winnie. Winnie will be here with me, and Brad will be here with me, and we're going to be discussing a case where this scientist for the police department got caught with doing something bad with like 38 cases, and now they got to basically go through and throw them all out. That same corrupt system that put Derek Chauvin behind bars. So that's all I'm saying. Instead of getting mad at George Floyd, why aren't you mad at the system? Because you rely on that system, and you feel that system keeps you safe until that system does something that pisses you off. But as long as everybody else is going to jail, people that look like me, that system is awesome. But if they don't look like me and they go to jail, then that's a corrupt system, and anybody that's under that system should be pardoned. Okay, I dig it. I understand. Anyway, hey, let's end the night like we always end the night. Realizing and recognizing and understanding that we serve an almighty God, a God that no matter what you do, how you do it, when you do it, God will never turn his back on you, and he will more than likely always love you till the end. Only thing you have to do is give him your heart, your mind, your spirit, your soul, and see how he can turn your life around. It's not something that I think. It's not something that I believe. It's something that I know because it definitely happened to yours truly. God is good all the time. He's compassionate. And thank God for his blessing. Thank God for his compassion, because if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be here today. Some of us should be gone already. But because he's so good and he's so kind, he gave us these opportunities to redeem ourselves, to give him the glory that he so richly deserved, and become one of his children. All right? Hey, y'all have a good night. We'll talk to you soon. Peace, fam. I'm out.